Okay, I'm gonna show you guys this cylinder. Took me a while, maybe about a week or more to figure out. And that's just it's because it requires a few more functions than just, oh, it's a shape. It has its own function. Well, I use lines and intersections between lines and closest points between lines. I'm gonna show it in the tutorial as I just show off that it is in fact a cylinder. Well, not exactly, right, because it's cut into the block. And it is an infinite cylinder, so it has this weird effect here as I get inside of it. Weird. Absolutely. Also, should this happen? I don't know. It's just weird. Spheres cannot be infinite, so they don't cause a lot of problems. It was like 5 times easier to make a sphere than a cylinder. I could have just copied and pasted the code and then figure out how to do it, but the cylinder I had to actually figure out almost from scratch. Barely used one thing, which is if you properly cut into the cylinder, you get the same circle as with the sphere. So it helps a little bit. But other than that, that's how it looks like. Now this tile formation, which looks pretty interesting, right? At certain points the tiles dissolve or blend with each other. And this is literally by luck. This is supposed to be levels, color levels, that work properly with pixels instead of noise. Because noise doesn't actually have a texture size. It's not made out of pixels. The closer you get, the more detailed the noise gets as well. It is infinite detail. But the textures do have a very nice effect. You can call this mosaic effect because it's made out of different size tiles. Or that's at least how it was called when I found it. I found this effect in Picavoxel, but it wasn't really used. I thought it was a pretty amazing effect, so I recreated it, and it looks pretty useful and amazing as well in the game. It looks a lot better with bigger pixels. Right. And it looks worse with smaller pixels. And that's about it. But it still looks okay. Right. Still looks pretty cool in some places. Can we find some rocks? Yeah. It's not perfect mosaic, I would say, because it's just color levels. I try to do, if this color is similar to this color, well, it's gonna be contained in the same tile, but it doesn't work that way. With color levels, you can just very easily get this effect, but it's not gonna be a very good looking effect. I cannot actually describe what the problem is. Just know that it could be a little better if it's even possible to do it easily. Obviously I can choose different color levels as well, and how similar these colors basically supposed to be. But again, it's not similarity, but the color level that matters. So a jump between a tile can actually happen almost at random, or seemingly at random. Like here. It's not exactly random here, but you might not want it to be to have tiles here, and it seems like it's a very similar green thing. So there shouldn't be tiles, but again, these are color levels. Now let me go to the tutorial section. That's it. These are 2 features that I've added. And I fixed a few things with water. And I can go inside blocks now properly again. The lava looks pretty cool. You can look through it. It works. Now, let me go to the tutorial, just quickly show you how complicated it is. Probably can't even explain it yet. How to do the cylinder. Right. So I needed this function here, which basically is the closest points between 2 lines. And to get it, you need this vector right here. It's going to be perpendicular to both lines for some reason. I have no idea, but it's very useful because not only I can find the vector using the cross product of these 2 lines, but I also can get the distance in between simply by dotting, right? It's basically projection. Now, dotting means I can take any point of this vector and project it, but because every single point projected to a perpendicular line would be on the same position, projection will always be in the same position as well. So I can just project any point from that line, and then I get the distance here. Yeah, that distance is pretty useful. The moment I remove the distance between these 2 lines, or remove that vector from one line, let's say, now I can actually intersect these lines. I get the intersection point, I bring back the distance, and I add that distance to the point, I get another point. And now we have those points that we were looking for, the closest 2 points. Simple as that, but it's very useful with a cylinder. So the cylinder is defined as some kind of vector and a radius. I can rotate at the moment this vector in my simulation in any direction, and I'm still gonna have a cylinder. I can fully animate it, obviously, and I will be able to change its height as well. Right now it's infinite, but basically, as you cast a ray, and it's not perpendicular to the cylinder, but then you get the closest point. This one is seemingly too high, but let's say here you get the closest point here, and this is going to be perpendicular, meaning that I can just have a circle here and it's going to look like this. So you have this ray, the closest point. Now this ray is not exactly equal to this. This ray is flat with the circle, and this ray actually goes in its own direction. Basically, because of this, I need to use a plane instead and cut the cylinder. Again, these are not equal rays. I kind of imagine the plane. You don't really need to. So what I do next, so I have these points, I have the radius, and what I can do with these points, I can actually project them the same direction as the cylinder is projected, the same vector, the cylinder vector, right, they're here as well. And now that I have 2 vectors here, and this is basically the same plane cut as here. That's where the plane cuts the cylinder. So as I project it, I project the same cut as well. This entire thing exists in the plane. So basically I can take the ray, the actual ray, and I can get these points here. These are the actual hit points that I was looking for. Now I'm not sure how it's going to work with cones and other cylindrical objects. Basically cylindrical objects is everything. It's like capsules, ellipsoids, whatever you can think of, I believe, if it works out. I'll be able to do the rest of the shapes basically. So it's really much a stepping block forward. I can even do a sphere using a cylinder, which sounds weird, but it might actually be very useful because I will be able to change height and the size, basically stretch it in every direction. So yeah, that's that's some complicated stuff. This is how the code looks like. Again, I have no idea how lines intersect. I have no idea what this means, but I at least figure out the rest, and it works so far. Oh boy. See you guys next time when I complete another geometrical shape. Holy shit. Took me a long time. Alright, bye.